I fell for my best friend's boyfriend, and now I'm living a double life. All right, here goes. For context, I'm 26, and my best friend Lily and I have been inseparable since high school. You know those friendships where you finish each other's sentences, know every embarrassing secret, and have matching tattoos? Yeah, that was us. Lily was the wild one, the kind of girl who lights up every room she walks into, while I was the quieter, responsible friend who always played her sidekick. About 2 years ago, Lily started dating this guy named Caleb. He was tall, charming, and had this effortless charisma that just drew people in. At first, I didn't think much of him other than, wow, good for her, he's out of her usual league. Lily had a habit of dating the chaotic bad boy types who left destruction in their wake. But Caleb seemed different. He was grounded, funny, and genuinely seemed to care about her. The first time I really noticed Caleb was about 6 months into their relationship. Lily had invited me over for a game night, just the three of us. She got too drunk too quickly, classic Lily, and ended up passing out on the couch midway through our third round of Cards Against Humanity. Caleb and I stayed up, finishing our drinks and talking. It wasn't flirty or anything inappropriate, but the way he listened to me was different. Like, when I talked, he actually cared. He wasn't zoning out or waiting for his turn to speak like so many other guys. He asked follow-up questions, laughed at my dumb jokes, and even remembered details about things I'd mentioned in passing months ago. That night, as I drove home, I felt this weird, uncomfortable flutter in my chest. I told myself it was just admiration or a harmless crush, nothing to worry about. I mean, he was with Lily, my best friend, for crying out loud. I shoved those feelings down so deep I convinced myself they didn't exist. But of course, feelings don't stay buried for long. Things started to shift about a year into their relationship. Lily, being Lily, started to lose interest. She wasn't the type to settle down easily, and Caleb, while amazing, didn't have that bad boy edge she usually craved. She'd complained to me about him being too nice or too predictable, and I'd always defend him, telling her she was lucky to have someone who treated her so well. At the same time, Caleb and I were getting closer. Lily would flake on plans, and Caleb would invite me to tag along instead. I'd justify it by telling myself, well, someone should support him if she's not going to. Whether it was grabbing coffee or catching a movie, we started spending more and more time together. Then came the night everything changed. It was a rainy Saturday in February. Lily had planned this big group outing to a bar, but at the last minute she cancelled, saying she wasn't feeling well. I texted Caleb to check in on him because I figured he'd be bummed about the cancelled plans. To my surprise, he asked if I wanted to come over and hang out instead. I hesitated. Every part of me knew this was dangerous territory. But he sounded so lonely. I told myself it was harmless, just two friends keeping each other company. When I got to his apartment, he greeted me with a warm smile and a glass of wine. We talked for hours about everything and nothing, and for the first time, I felt like someone truly saw me. Not Lily's sidekick or the responsible friend, but me. At some point, the conversation turned to relationships. He admitted he felt like Lily was pulling away, and he didn't know how to fix things. His voice cracked when he said, I feel like I'm trying so hard to love her, but it's like she's already gone. And then he looked at me. It wasn't one of those fleeting glances. It was deep, lingering, and filled with something I didn't want to name. Before I knew it, he was leaning in, and I didn't stop him. The kiss was electric and heartbreaking all at once. It felt like something I'd been waiting for my whole life, but it was also wrapped in layers of guilt and betrayal. The second it ended, we both pulled away, wide-eyed and panicked. I shouldn't have done that, he muttered. No, you shouldn't have. I agreed. But the truth was, I wanted him to do it again. After that night, everything got messy. Caleb and I agreed it was a one-time mistake and swore to never let it happen again. But of course, it didn't stop there. We started texting more frequently, and our harmless meetups became something else entirely. It was like I was living a double life. By day, I was Lily's supportive best friend, and by night, I was sneaking around with her boyfriend. The guilt was unbearable, but the pull toward Caleb was stronger. He'd tell me things like, "I've never felt this connected to someone before," or "You're the only one who really understands me." And I believed him, because, honestly, I felt the same way. Meanwhile, Lily was oblivious. She'd vent to me about Caleb, saying she was considering breaking up with him but didn't know how. Part of me wanted to scream, "Do it! Break up with him so this doesn't have to be a secret anymore." But another part of me hated myself for even thinking that. Everything came to a head 3 months later. Lily decided to throw a birthday party for Caleb, inviting all our friends and family. She asked me to help plan it, which felt like a sick joke given the circumstances. But I went along with it because, well, what else could I do? The night of the party, I watched Lily drape her arms around Caleb and kiss his cheek like they were the perfect couple. It felt like a knife twisting in my chest. At one point, Caleb and I locked eyes across the room, and I could see the same pain reflected in his expression. Later that night, when most of the guests had left, Lily passed out in her bedroom after one too many tequila shots. Caleb and I found ourselves alone in the kitchen cleaning up. "I can't keep doing this," I whispered, tears welling up in my eyes. "Neither can I," he admitted. But instead of ending things, we kissed again, right there in Lily's kitchen, with her asleep just a few feet away. That was the moment I realized there was no going back. I was in too deep, and no matter how much I wanted to justify it, what we were doing was wrong. I wish I could tell you there was some big resolution, that Caleb and I confessed everything, or that Lily found out and cut us both out of her life. But the truth is, we're still in this limbo. Caleb and Lily are technically still together, though their relationship is hanging by a thread. And me? I'm still playing the role of the supportive best friend while secretly meeting Caleb behind her back. I know it's only a matter of time before everything blows up, but for now I'm clinging to the fragile fantasy that somehow this will all work out. And that's my story. Am I the villain? Probably. Do I regret it? Honestly, I don't know. Update. I fell for my best friend's boyfriend, and now I'm living a double life. So, I guess I owe you all an update. A lot has happened since I first shared this. And honestly, my life feels like a soap opera right now. Buckle up. A few weeks after I posted the original story, things started to unravel, fast. Caleb and I had been walking this tightrope of sneaking around and pretending everything was normal, but cracks were starting to show. Lily wasn't dumb. She might have been distracted with her own life, but she could sense that something was off. It started with little comments. "You've been texting Caleb a lot lately," she'd say, her tone half joking, but her eyes searching mine for a reaction. Or, "Why do you two always seem so in sync? I swear, sometimes you finish each other's sentences." Every time she said something like that, I'd laugh it off and change the subject. But the guilt? It was eating me alive. I'd started losing sleep, constantly worrying that she'd find out. And Caleb wasn't helping. He'd started talking about how he couldn't keep living this way, how he wanted to be with me but didn't know how to end things with Lily without completely destroying her. And then the bomb dropped. One night, Lily called me out of the blue. Her voice was cold. The kind of calm that makes your stomach drop because you know it's the calm before the storm. "Hey, can you come over? I need to talk to you," she said. When I got to her apartment, Caleb was there too. My heart sank. Lily was sitting on the couch, her arms crossed, glaring at both of us like she was trying to set us on fire with her eyes. "I'm just going to ask this once," she said, her voice shaking. "Are you two seeing each other behind my back?" My mouth went dry. Caleb and I exchanged a panicked look, but before either of us could say anything, Lily held up her phone. "I found your texts," she spat. "Don't even try to deny it." I didn't know what to say. My brain was screaming at me to come up with some kind of excuse, but there was no point. She had the evidence. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this," Caleb finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. Lily